So I'm going to have to go check to see if this has gone live. I don't know why it might have not. Ah, there we are. All right, I'm live. I'm seeing comments. I think we're good. That was no fun. Um, I don't know if there's anybody in the live stream, so I'm just going to go ahead. Ah, yes, Bill M. Hey, Bill, how you doing? So today, this is my La Petite Blanche coticule, and I'm going to use that for the third time. But I'm going to be honing. This is a Heljestrand MK31, but it's a really old one. This one, if you can see, I'm going to try to get the light on this correctly. That's hard to do. Anyway, this says on the etching on this says Sodaforce Extra Special Stall, which Sodaforce is a place in Sweden, the extra special stall means extra special steel. So I have never seen an MK31 with this etching on the blade, and I bought this razor off of eBay because I'm adventurous that way. It was way underpriced relative to other Heljestrand MK31s, and I sort of couldn't resist it. And when I got it, it was shave ready, and the edge looked good, but it didn't shave well at all. So then I started playing with it, and what I found was that this razor had some geometry issues, and so I started taking care of the geometry issues, and I would basically make a correction, hone the razor, shave with the razor, and I went through that process 3 times. The first effort, the shave got a little bit better, the edge got a little better, the shave got a little better. The second time, improved again, and then the third time I did this razor just became magic, and I couldn't believe how good it shaved. So I bought another regular MK31, and I bought it from Griffiths, so it was in good shape. First of all, didn't have a lot of use on it. Griffiths did a great job doing a little bit of cleanup on it, and I honed that razor and shaved with it, and it was great, but it was nothing close to this one. So I sold the other one, and I've kept this one. And if you ever happen to see an MK31 with this Sodaforce Extra Special Stall on it, let me know. I want to buy another one. This one is really, really good. Hold on, I'm gonna do a little camera diddling here. So yeah, this one is really special. Now I also started looking into the into the Heljestrand line, and I found that the really old MK31s had ivory scales. And lo and behold, this one has ivory scales. They are incredible. They're very thin and very stiff. That is another nice surprise that came with this razor. So for those of you who were around to hear that, that's what I'm honing today. This razor has always had, well, it first had a synthetic edge on it, and that was the edge that shaved incredibly well. And then I put a JNet edge on it, and it was excellent with the JNet edge. But I haven't honed this in well over a year, and it's had a lot of shaves. So I thought I would try it on my new coticule here. The coticule has had a little bit of flattening done to it. The razor has an edge, has a good edge, so I don't need to do anything drastic in terms of cutting the edge back or creating a new edge. So I'm just gonna go ahead. Let me check up with the comments here. Oh, hi Gary, hi JPO. Let's see here. Hello, Trunker Dixon. The comment from Morazino is actually a comment from me. I have another account. That's a pseudonym I've used since the very early 80s. I built and ran something called a bulletin board system, another BBS acronym. Way back in the day, and I used that name back in the day. All right, that's a pretty thick slurry. I'm going to thin it a little. Let's get going. The feel of this LPB is very glassy, very, very smooth. The slurry is velvety, and it's quite unlike any. This is the only, this is my first of maybe more LPBs. Yeah, it's unlike other coticules that I've had, and this is pretty hard steel. And while Eric tells me these tend to be slow, that these stones tend to be slow. I mean, this one removes metal. I mean, you can see that slurry grade up very quickly. Check comments here. No questions for me, which is good. And so all I'm doing is what you normally just see me do on the video. The size of the stone, this is a bout, and the size of the stone is of no consequence to me because I work the blade in sections anyway, and so I could sharpen this razor on this slurry stone if I had to. But it's nice to have more real estate, let's face it. The feel of the surface is amazing. Let's I have a little I don't have the JPO has that metal bowl, so if I do this, it's just not the same. he's got all the style. You know, some people are really winning on style points. That wouldn't be me. I don't need. I'm only using enough pressure to feel what's happening at the edge, and I already know. I've already got an edge. I mean, what the slurry will have done will have knocked back the edge that was on there, and doing these streams, I have no idea what I'm doing. It will have knocked back the edge, so I'm already just working to see. I should check on this because I can already tell I have pretty good contact between the steel, the apex, and the stone, and I've got good flow. The correction, this actually needed a spine correction, and I did a little bit of the Dr. Matt on this. I taped the edge and did a little Dr. Matt on the spine, and that was the third correction I made, and wow, the edge that came from that was just amazing. I need metal bolts on my head. Oh. No, in this area, I live outside of Washington D.C. with all the we have actual UFO activity that gets reported here. It's actually drones, but people think they're UFOs, and so you know they're definitely people with aluminum caps running around. It's already really good. But let's just do some more. I'm going to thin it out. I'm actually going to create new. So not exactly a Delicut, but you know, who cares? And now I'm going to lean into the slowness of the stone. Oh, and I'm planning to finish on water. I haven't done that with this stone yet. Gonna thin this slurry out some more. Yeah, foil hat. Well, I've been in the UFO business, so when you've talking to the aliens, you don't need a foil hat. I want more on the surface here. It's not picking up a lot of. That's not picking up a lot of water. There we go. This is quite disconcerting for me. Making videos was hard enough because I normally do this kind of as a Zen activity. I don't really the idea of talking and making a video while doing this is really foreign. Not foreign agency, Bill. I was a government contractor uh, uh, for about 40 years. But three-letter agencies are, if you look into it, if you look at all of the agencies underneath the Department of National Intelligence, you find an alphabet soup of organizations doing all kinds of different intelligence activity. And this grew exponentially after 9/11. And I admit, as a contractor, um, more is better. This is slower and softer than I would typically go. Um, I would approach this more quickly normally. The the edge is really feeling good. I can't the angle that I've got with this little vat of water, in the camera setup that I have isn't really working for me. So I'm just gonna continually spray water on here. Lots of us have discussed yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, there definitely is some mysterious activity that occurs around this area. I've never seen one of the drones, but I'm on one of these neighborhood um, forums. I think it's called Next Door or something like that, and people they report lost cats and things, and I get notifications of seeing UFO activity, and I would love to see it. I happen to know it's drones. I happen to know that it's drone activity. Um, there's quite a bit of military. I mean, there's um, there's what used to be Andrews Air Force Base. That's still active. They I can't remember the new name, um, but I mean there's quite a bit of there's Patuxent Naval Air Station, which is south of me. There's quite a bit of stuff happening here that's just government oriented, and I happen to know that they're flying drones, and I would love to see one. I don't know. I'm an old guy, and I'm not. Even if what they're doing is classified, and you had a security clearance, you still wouldn't know. You have to have a reason to know that kind of information. So I wouldn't know why the government was flying drones, but I can guess. This is far more laps than I would do. I mean, I actually think this thing has simply come and become ready very quickly. Eh, let's see here. Yeah, so it's got a ways to go. I'm gonna put some more water here on the surface. Because I'm talking, I'm not really paying attention to working the edge on this stone the way I normally would. The feel of the edge on the stone, doing this the way I do it, is incredible. I can really tell, like on this side, this is where the dullness, the slight dullness that I have is, because it feels different in this direction than in this direction. And it's starting to catch up. Yep, starting to catch up. I mean, it's surprising. I find it surprising that a human is able to detect and correct these minor differences. I need to get some more. This stone is actually soaking up a fair amount of water. Now, normally what I would have done would have been, I would have spent a little bit more time with a thicker slurry. But you know, it's an abrasive. It just takes more time with thinner slurry than with thicker slurry. So long as you're working the edge and can assess development on the edge, you can just take whatever time is necessary. Let me check the comments here. Oh, we have Sean. Hi, Sean. Oh, hey, Eric. It feels, yeah, it doesn't feel sticky because I have I can tell that the apex is well down onto the stone, which is not accurate for what really happens, but that's kind of how it feels to me. And so what I'm doing, I have a little bit of slurry here, as you can maybe see, and I'm going to finish on water. I and I'm not adding slurry, so I'm diluting it. So and I went to a thinner slurry probably earlier than I normally would, because I figure I'll be here a while chatting with you guys. So you know, I can let the apex gently work its way, gently narrow. But yes, I can feel the edge there. The little bit of slurry is helping preventing the the idea of sticking. And this is a stone. This stone is so glassy. Yeah, you can't see that. I can barely see it, but the slurry is just popping up over the edge. It's very difficult for even for me to see. Um, the I think we've all discussed this, but and I know Eric is of the same opinion. Um, the edge stopping on the stone is I don't know where that started, but I don't believe in that. I think that's a counter indication. I'd love to know who started that idea. To me, that's just an indication of. Um, I mean, it's an indication that the apex is that the bevel is matching the surface of the stone really well. That you have a nice bevel shape, and as you move, the bevel's simply pushing your slurry or water typically out between the two surfaces. And when that happens, when the water exits those two surfaces, the friction increases, and so you feel it sticking and then eventually stopping. But that doesn't mean that there isn't more to give. Let me check comments here. Let's see, the direction that is dull doesn't stick as much. Oh, you're back when I was. So oh no, yeah, B&B hasn't come here to supervise. So Sean, you were talking about when I was saying I could feel different on this side than this side. Is that what you meant? What I was feeling is not about stickiness, but about just how the apex feels. I'm not I'm adding enough edge bias so that I can feel what's happening at the apex, and as the apex thins, I have to be more and more delicate with that edge bias so I can feel what's happening. And what I want to feel is the same sense in both directions. If it feels the same way in both directions, then I believe that, and I have the same flow of slurry over the edge, then to me, and in my experience, that means I've got the apex centered under the spine, and that it's well formed. That the more I feel that apex, the more I know it's getting more well formed, and as sharp as it's going to get under the circumstances that I have. Yeah, we'll have to figure out a way to ban Bill. Although I enjoy Bill, so I'm not sure I want to ban him. I'm sorry, I'm reading comments here, talking about Ardennes. Oh, this is good to know. For a sharp, smooth razor for beginners. Sorry, I'm reading Van Veen's question. I would go with something from Ralph Aust. Oh, I think he makes He makes very affordable, very well-made razors. I have two of them. Well, we're way into pushing to the cloud territory here, guys. Another way into pushing to the cloud territory. Another recommendation that I have would be like a Heljestrand Le Grelot. Both of those I would get with 6/8 and full hollow for a first razor. I think that's statistically well liked amongst most straight razor shavers. It gives you enough maneuverability and yet enough size that you can get comfortable very quickly. So those would be two recommendations that I would make. The other thing I would say would be this is slightly French point. It has a point right here. I would for a first razor try to get round point. Hang on, I'll go try to find. Hopefully, I have a razor. Here you go. This is what round point looks like. Round point, and this is a lot. This is much more comfortable as a first razor shape. This is 6/8 round point, and there's your hollow grind. Put it a little bit to the side so you can see. So that's hollow ground, and that's what I would suggest. Another thing, if you're not going to buy a new razor, and maybe Eric or some of the other guys can chime in because I'm not up to date, but there are people online who and Eric might be one of these people, but there are people online who refurbish vintage razors and who are also good at honing. And if you can buy a refurbished razor from somebody like that, that's a great way to go. You'll have good steel, a great edge, and somebody behind it who is reputable. So that would be another recommendation. Yeah, Bucker is good too. I would recommend not using a shavette. I'm one of the few people who does not suggest starting with a shavette. I think for the cost of a shavette, you can get a real straight razor with a good edge. Yeah, you got to get a strop, but you can, Duke City is a great place to go get a very inexpensive strop. And really shaving with a straight razor is a lot less dangerous than shaving with a shavette. The corners on the blades will get you, especially because at first you're not necessarily great with your angles at first. If you get a real straight razor honed by somebody who knows that you're a new shaver, they can give you a soft edge, and you can learn some of the technique with a lot less with far fewer cuts and irritation. That's just my opinion. So the shavettes can be really dangerous, I think. And this comes from somebody. I only have one shavette. That's a Wick Sexta blade, and I never use it. All right, this is done. I have another razor. I'll go get that. Yeah, 6/8. So the normally razors are uh, described by the uh, the width in this direction, the width of the blade in this direction, and they measure from the edge to the center of the grind point, not to the top of the spine, but to the center of the grind point, and that's that measurement. So this razor is 5/8, nominally 5/8 in that direction. This razor is nominally 6/8 in that direction, and that's 6/8 of an inch. In case you're not familiar with the old English system. I mean, here in the United States, we still haven't learned how to speak metric. Well, a lot of us haven't learned how to speak metric. A lot of Americans haven't. Yes, that's right, JPO. I can do the math too. I had to. My whole career was 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 done using metric system. I'll be back. I hadn't planned on doing it for this live stream, and we're at 37 minutes, but seems like a lot of people are here. Now, other people may have good Van or Van, perhaps. A lot of people may have other suggestions. It's often suggested that you start with a shavette. I'm going to do a series on how to start my approach to starting straight razor shaving, and in that approach is going to be get a really cheap, inexpensive straight razor off of eBay that's in good enough shape. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is a $12 razor that I got off of eBay, and it's in good shape. You can see the shape. The shape is good. It's an old razor. The shape is good. It was just cheap. You don't want something that's all rusted up. It needs to be clean and in good shape. But I recommend getting for your first razor, getting a razor that you're going to take the edge off of. You can take a and by the way, Gold Dollar on Amazon sells a razor without an edge. So, for $25 or whatever, you can buy a razor that doesn't have an edge on it. I may even have a Gold Dollar. Hold on. Okay, so here's a Gold Dollar, and you can buy these. These are very cheap. They're made in China. We love to hate them because the steel, as a razor that you're going to use, the steel is really questionable. But for my purpose, getting an inexpensive Gold Dollar, especially if you buy the one without the edge, is great, because what I suggest that you do to really get into straight razor shaving in a safe way is to work up your lathering skills. And so build a lather, remove the lather with a razor that does not have an edge, so that you work on your coordination, you work on being comfortable with this thing, right? If you're not, when you're starting out, I mean, how do you even hold it, right? You got to get comfortable with how you're going to hold it. And then you need to figure out, okay, well, how am I going to move this thing across my face? Well, it's a lot easier to do that if you do it with a razor that doesn't have an edge on it. And then and you can work on your lather skills. Lathering for straight razor shaving is a little different than lathering for DE shaving or anything else. With DE shaving, we talk about cushion, right? So a DE shaver worries about cushion, and what that is the enough lather that all the metal of a double-edged razor has something to float on. But you don't have that situation with a straight razor. You have just the edge. So making a lather for straight razor shaving is about getting a really good, wet, slick lather. So with a razor that doesn't have an edge on it, you can do this multiple times a day too. You can create a lather and then work on being coordinated with the razor in just removing the lather, and do it at an angle. Try to work up low angles that you would use when you eventually do have an edge. And when you're really comfortable with that, and I would also heavily advocate for learning to do this ambidextrously. That opens up a lot of possibilities for getting to weird places on your face, and we all have them. So that's another advantage of the razor with no edge is you can be as awkward as you want, and it's unlikely you'll cut yourself. Anyway, I got sidetracked there, and this is a honing video. Let's see. Let me try to catch up. I was reading JPO's comments about the yard. I'll let somebody else talk about the balloon question. I think it's best to just start on your face. You're going to need to map your beard, which is pretty easy. Just rub your hands on your beard, and there are areas where the beard feels rougher than not. If it feels rough and sandpapery in one direction, that's against the grain. If in another direction, that's with the grain. And then from those two, you can deduce which direction is cross grain. And presumably you've done some research, and you know that in wet shaving the advice is to do 3 passes with the grain pass, across the grain pass, and then against the grain pass. Oh, sorry. This is a double duck. 5/8. Double duck gold edge 5/8. This is another razor that has not been honed in well over a year. So I was going to do this outside the live stream, but we have a fairly good discussion going on, so I'll keep the live stream up. So what I'm doing here is sharpening the straight razor. If I were to strop it, that's not really sharpening. That's not really sharpening. This is sharpening in the way it's normally thought of, is using an abrasive, which is what this stone and what this slurry is, to remove metal and shape metal, or shape metal by removing metal. And that's what I'm doing here. The razor is laid down on its spine, and the angle from the spine to the edge creates the angle at which I'm removing material. And if I do that on both sides, I will start with a dull edge, and as I remove material, that edge moves, that bevel moves back and then closes, and that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing here. Stropping, the main activity for stropping mechanically, and JPO, you know, give me a little slack here, JPO. The main activity is bending. And so with stropping, which by the way is a different direction, you see I'm primarily running the edge of the razor into the direction of travel here. With stropping, you do this. With stropping, you're running the edge of the razor away from the direction of travel. So there are names for this. This is called edge trailing, and this is what you do when you strop. And this is edge leading, and you never strop edge leading. So stropping is primarily about cleaning up the edge and bending it into a good, you know, a good shape. Now, you know, the reason this works is that the part that cuts is way down here. The average, all you need to cut hair is something that will go through the diameter of your hair. And the average diameter of a beard hair is about 100 microns. One micron is 1,000th of a millimeter. Sorry, we're back on the metric system again. So we're talking about 100 microns is 1/10 of a millimeter, and that's the average. That's your average human hair. So you know the thickest of human hair, it might be 4 or 5 times that. You know, 5 times that would be 1/2 a millimeter. That's a pretty damn thick beard hair. But let's just say it was. That would be then the only part of the edge that would matter for cutting would be that 1/2 a millimeter. What happens later in terms of cutting, it is not significant. Now, before anybody gets up in arms, I'm talking about cutting, not overall technique. But yeah, so stropping is used to realign the edge rather than sharpen it. Let's see, I don't have one handy, but if you've seen in a kitchen, there's a steel that you see chefs run back and forth on a steel. That's what that steel does, is it realigns the edge. It doesn't really sharpen it. And if you're ever in a working kitchen, the way some of these guys handle knives, you see them do something and then run it up and back across the steel. Yeah, well, you know, a lot of them are really heavy-handed, and they need to be doing that. Let's see here. I better catch up. All right, so I've gotten behind on the chat. Sorry guys, but it looks like you're chatting amongst yourselves. So So Van, yeah. So the purpose of this is to create an edge, and an edge is two bevels, one on each side. A bevel is a change in direction. So two bevels and an apex, and the apex is geometrically where the two bevels intersect. And you don't have to do it this way. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. You can easily do that this way on a stone, because I'm removing material this way as well. The reason most of us do this is that there's information imparted to you by feeling how the edge feels as you move across the stone in this direction, and then getting information from how the slurry acts as you move the razor edge leading. So that's why most of us do that in this direction. All right, I've been yapping. All right, so I am now very, very sharp in push into the cloud territory. So it's time to go to water. Tiny bit of slurry. If I were young enough, I'd have another kid name he either wouldn't matter what the gender was. I'd name it Misty Slurry. It sounds like a name. Actually, it sounds like a stripper, but. Let's see here. Hey Rob, sorry I haven't been very good about monitoring the chat. Rob was instrumental in my acquisition of this stone. So all the good edges that I get are his fault. It's the stone that does the work. All I'm doing is moving the razor back and forth. Man, this stone does soak up water. Yeah. Is that typical, Eric, of these? Enjoying the show. Well, I think Bill's got the right idea. It's 5 p.m. here in Maryland. A little early for me to start having a cocktail. That's more of a after dinner occasional thing for me. So all I'm doing, in case you wondered, I'm making sure that the edge feels the same in both directions. Once again, I think it has to do with how I hone. I find that I'm always trying to make up, most of the time I'm making up time on this side. So I probably put different amounts of pressure, uh, slightly different amounts of pressure. It's always a slight amount of correction, so it's not too far out. There we go. Now, if I didn't have a little bit of slurry, and I'm going to put more mist, this would be sticking because I can feel it starting. This might be, might just be as good as oil or ONR on this particular stone. Obviously, we'll see. It's pretty easy to modulate and keep it from stopping. The surface is very silky, but there's enough texture that gives me feedback that I can lighten up and let it just slide across the surface. Let's see here. Is your AC or heater on? Oh, you're talking to me. This is Maryland is really humid. It's not as humid as Louisiana, but it's really close. It's surprisingly close. We have a huge body of water. I have a huge body of water, the Chesapeake Bay, right near me, and that contributes. So no, I don't think it's a humidity thing. Yes, Van. It's just this is just water. Let's see. So I've missed a part of this conversation. Oh, the question about dinging an edge. So I actually don't do that much anymore, but that's because I've done many years of knife sharpening. And when I started knife sharpening, I found every possible way to cut myself and to whack the edge of the knife into something and ruin whatever work I had done. It was friggin' embarrassing and frustrating because that then you got to go through it all again. And sometimes repair. I did that to a Schoen chef's knife, and it chipped. I whacked it against. I don't remember what I whacked it against, but it some of them, especially if people do stupid things like put them in the dishwasher. That's not a knife you put in the dishwasher. But anyway, some people do, and the steel gets really brittle. And yeah, so I literally ding the knife against something, and I don't remember what it was. I don't remember whether it was working here or not. I used to also sharpen on site. But I remember literally knocking a chip out of the edge. There we go. It's starting to get there. Sorry, this isn't too entertaining. Hang on here. I'm going to let Eric or somebody respond to or Bill. Yeah, I would. I'll let one of you guys respond to that question. If you're at first, my thought is that if you start with a really good, if you're starting to if you're starting to shave and you have a well-honed, razor, you can maintain that razor with some denim that you've cleaned up, cut out like 3 inches by, I don't know, 75 millimeters by, I don't know, let's call it 300 millimeters, something so not too big, that you spread some green chromium oxide, cream chromium oxide on. You can maintain your edge ons by stropping on that for quite a long time. Shave, put in 10 shaves, do normal stropping between each shave, and then every 10 shaves or so, strop on the denim loaded with chromium oxide, and you can maintain an edge for a very long time that way. Well, this is done. This edge is done. There's literally no more I can do to it that I can think of. It's behaving really, really well. So I'm just gonna, I guess I'll just be done. Let's see. What is that white thing? So this this is a polystyrene. This is something Bill M, who's on the chat. He started us all in on this. He takes full credit for making great use out of polystyrene, which is a petroleum-based product and has a half-life of similar to radium. It's a great way to test sharpness because, as odd as it sounds, these have they have a skin and the consistency of the skin between, here's another packing peanut, right? So I have two. These are packing peanuts. Made of polystyrene, and the consistency of the skin is very very stable. So you can pick up a polystyrene peanut or piece of polystyrene. We use these peanuts, and the amount of and gauge the amount of pressure that it takes to break the skin. The sharper the edge, the less pressure it takes to break the skin. And if you can break the skin soundlessly and with almost no pressure, and have that be the same feeling everywhere on the edge, you know not only is your edge very, very sharp where it needs to be, but it's that sharp across the whole length of the edge. All right, I'm gonna just hang here for a second. Yeah, I know there are definitely places where polystyrene peanuts are banned, but they come. They come in, and people will often pack something. It's packed at their house and shipped to you. No one is checking the contents for polystyrene. So you're in a state. So I presume you're in the United States. What state are you in that banned polystyrene? Probably Massachusetts or Vermont. Yeah, this was, give Bill all the credit, and none of the blame. So he if he wants blame, he can go to Badger and Blade. I'm not a Badger and Blade member, but I'm really tempted to join just so I can give Bill a hard time, because I think he thrives on that. Oregon. Yeah, well, that would be, yeah, of course. That makes complete sense. I haven't been to many places in Oregon, but I have been to Portland. Loved it. But I'm okay with rain. How would you ship packing peanuts? Hang on. This is my entire collection of packing peanuts. It's whenever I receive something shipped to me, and it was packed with packing peanuts, and a lot of these come, from individuals. Something I get off eBay, or I buy something from a business that packs in packing peanuts. Whenever I get them, I just put them in this box. So yes, the Bill is at fault for extending the life of polystyrene. Oh yeah. Well, there are other ways to check sharpness than polystyrene, but it's a really great way. I know I have some good friends in Europe who somehow managed to get their hands on polystyrene packing peanuts. I don't think they bought them though. Maybe as somebody said, there's a black market in it. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. I think the half life might be more like 1.6 million years. I think they're pretty indestructible. Oh, there you go. All right, I'm done. We've been at this for an hour and 11 minutes. It's uh, as as uh, as Leon would say, it's 1716 here in Maryland. So I think I'm going to. Uh, what's the name of the big yellow block? This is a this is a stone, a sharpening stone called a coticule, and this particular type is a La Petite Blanche. If Eric is still around, he's much more of an expert on coticules than I am, or if Sean is around, he can talk more about that. Um, but anyway, I think I'm going to what maybe I'll do is see if anybody answers your question here for a couple minutes. But I'm going to end this thing. Thank you everybody for hanging out, and we will hopefully see you later. Yes, Kyle. It has a BBW side. All right, everybody. Ciao. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you in a